Good meowing, and welcome to the Shadow Knight Stories channel. This is our first episode. It's a podcast introductory episode to get you sort of used to what the channel's about and everything like that. So, nothing too big, nothing major. Alright, so the important things. My name is Skylar. I'll be hosting this channel, and I've got a lot to talk about. This is my dog, Copperstone, and he's hiding. Video. Yep. Alright, very professional video, as you can see. Super edited, perfect lighting, everything like that. No, not at all. Okay, this whole thing is to be a little more personal and just, real for what I want to do. There'll, of course, be a few that are more like you just see like an image or whatever and stuff there, and the story's being told. But this channel is all about stories. So, I'll. Dog is sniffing my knee. I love you, Papa. Good girl, Copperstone. She is. She's such a Google. I know. Okay, so back on track. Okay, so I don't plan on doing a lot of editing for this channel or anything like that. I didn't even plan on making this channel originally for a long time. I didn't even think I'd want anything to do with the whole scene. It's like if I was gonna do anything, I'll be like a VTuber or something and have fun that way. My mustache is at a weird angle, or it's just a shadow. Yeah, it's just a shadow. No, it's actually it. Okay, I got it. Okay, so anyway. Okay, I will get better lighting eventually and do all this stuff to make this more professional, because, I plan to do this long term. But originally I had no idea, no plans for that, and maybe do something VTubing fun, but now I live in a place where my internet is cheese, so I can't exactly, live stream. That was a big part of VTubing, so, well, right now anyways, so. Not really think. Maybe in the future I'll do that and stuff, and you'll probably never know because I will have it as its own account and stuff. Boom. Or you'll find it like, that's this guy. Got him. We'll figure it out. But anyway, back to the focus of this. The whole thing is this is the first episode, so it's all very confused. I do plan on having a format, several formats. I plan on doing several types of stories. So I'll be running. So let's go over that. Let's go over the types of stories that you'll hear on this channel. Okay, so there'll be. First of all, generic podcast episodes. They'll be called like podcast or something like that, So I'll have a simple word up there, maybe pod, Skypod. There you go. Boom. That's the name for that. I'll be like Skypod 1, Skypod 2. Boom. So the Skypods will be super. My name, Skylore. Boom. That's why Skypod or Lorepod. I'll workshop it and you'll know which it is. Okay, so. Anyways, the lore pod videos, or, pod lore. Oh, screw around with the names all day. Anyways, those videos will have a format where I talk about things. And it's simple, like, I'll be talking about whatever, blah, blah, blah. It won't be so much me telling you a story, but, I'll have some stories related to what's going on and opinions and all of this stuff. And it'll be relatively short. Like, I don't think those will be more than 30 minutes. It'll be like 15 to 30 minutes. That's what I'm expecting for tops for those. But you never know, they might go longer. I might get 2 hours out of one. And I don't plan on doing a lot of editing at all. I don't like editing and stuff like that. If I wind up getting editing done, it'll be because I found an easy way to do it in a couple of minutes or max. Or someone else is willing to do it for me. That's it. I'm not a big editing guy. I might do music in the background. I'm still deciding things. You'll see me wearing headphones sometimes and not other times. I'll be wearing all sorts of different stuff. You'll see everything in the background change. It just sort of, it's my house. So, the lighting looked really great there like that for a second. Yeah, look at that lighting. Ooh. But yeah, so those videos will have a format. And the format will be something new. So something I want to talk about that's like new, just come up. Maybe, like, oh my gosh, a new game system came out. I need to talk about it. Or, books and whatnot. Maybe something cool happened in books, like publishers finally have books that sell more than 16 copies and whatnot. Big publishers, they're in a really bad house right now. The big publisher guys are in that. It's a big. So maybe they'll have their situation figured out, and that's why I'll bring up and talking about like, yeah, okay. It could be something completely unrelated. It could be like, new type of bug that we found has gears in its body. We found one aphid type thing that did. Maybe we'll find something else. Like, can you imagine if you find a we had a leaf hopper that had them. Maybe we'll find it in something like a weird type of cricket in some place. We'll just be like, hey, it was in my backyard. Check it out. It's got gears in its legs. who knows? I want to talk about that, or some new dinosaur news, whatever. Some random new thing that I think is interesting I want to talk about, and it'll be like, small segment on that, 5-10 minutes, maybe. And then I'll have something old that I want to talk about. Yes, I think you sort of figure out the theme I'm going with for that video format, but yeah, something old. And that could be something like the original King Kong. There's a King Kong figure over there, but yeah, like the original King Kong. That would be something I would talk about. I want to do a whole big video on the original King Kong, by the way. But that could just be something like that, where it's like, really old thing. It could be that. It could be 1920 slang. It could be something from just like a year ago that, is old due to context, as opposed to being like, old like, hey, the geological shifts of Pangea, which, I might want to talk about that. Who knows? But I talk about an old thing. And then I talk about a borrowed thing. And what makes a thing borrowed? Like, what does that mean in a video context? What is borrowed? Do you just, what? Well, what it means is other people who are doing podcasts or talking about different things, or just in my general space, which, hasn't really developed yet. Like, I don't know where I'll generally be considered, but I think I do. So, things they're talking about and whatnot, I'll borrow that and be like, oh man, this guy's talking about this thing. I'll take that and talk about it on my channel or whatnot for a bit. Maybe I don't have many opinions, but maybe it's interesting. Or maybe I do have really big opinions, but I don't know diddly. So maybe I'll bring it up. Like, hey, my opinions aren't like this crazy and whatnot in this way, but my opinion just comes from this very limited space. So if you know more, put down in the comments. Tell me more about it. Let me know. What's up? Do you think it's a justified opinion or not? I don't know. So we'll have stuff like that. And then there's a fourth one that's going into the formatting. And that fourth bit, I don't remember what it was right this second. Well, of course, I'll see a lot of that. But I'll have little notes and stuff for later episodes and everything to make sure I'm a little more on track. But yeah, so there'll be this fourth part where I'll be talking about something. I don't know what it was anymore. It's a borrowed thing. It's not blue, even though that's sort of the theme. I don't remember exactly what it was. But you'll see when you get to those videos, so, that's fine. Anyway, so that's going to be that format. Pretty simple, and I'll end it out with a thing, and it'll be, 15, 30 minutes, maybe 45. I don't expect them to go to an hour. But those will be a little more bite-sized, little bite-sized segments and whatnot, so I might be, talking about, like a coyote skull or something that, I'm working on. It's like, yeah. Coyote skull. Boom. Done. No scrimshaw on this yet. Nothing like that. Doesn't even have marks for it. But it'll get there, and it'll be really neat later. And I do scrimshaw, I do woodwork, I do all sorts of things. I'll be making totem poles eventually here. Hopefully the next few years I'll have a few that I'm building up with a smaller scale than the big ones you used to, because I want garden totem poles. We'll have little tangents like this too. We're just running off talking about random stuff. But yeah, this I'm going to carve it up and make it all pretty, and maybe even paint it afterwards and stuff. And probably wind up on the wall back there or something. More if it gets sold, don't know. But I do that. Skulls, furs. I'm literally working on a fur right now. It's in the garage being worked on. So all that. See this guy. Loosey goosey with this one, because this one was just, I didn't hunt it. I didn't do any work for it. No one else hunted it, and I know and did work on it. This was like, hey, we're getting rid of this. Do you want it? And I'm like, it's perfectly preserved and ready to go. Yeah, I'll make it into something. These guys were already just glued on. That's how they were in. So, no biggie. Nothing fell out. No broken teeth or anything. I'll be working on this, and it'll be cool. But, yeah. Simple stuff. So, that's one thing. Yeah. I say yeah a lot. Don't worry. There'll be a lot less in later videos, because they'll have a little tiny note thing for me to go off of. So, that's the first kind of video. Second kind of video, well, in my childhood, I'm originally from Alaska, and then I moved down to Wisconsin, so the land of cheese. So I came from the land of furs to the land of cheese. Anyway, but the interesting thing is that I had a lot of stories there's a lot of stories that I was told and opinions and things and stuff that come from interesting sources, like for example, take the mythological creature SW, if you know what that is. Uh, that thing, managed to overhear, and not because I was like being a sneaky little or anything. It was just something that was going on at the time, while I'm working and doing around stuff. Where two people who were both, I think one of them was Cherokee, and I think the other one, I don't remember what he was. Was he Comanche? Don't remember. But they were both discussing this thing, and they had an opinion that no white person I've ever met had. And by the way, I'm mixed race. I'm mixed out the wazoo when it comes to race. So, no cares there, You're not going to see me be like, I hate everybody, or I don't like these people, or I love these people, or I only eat Britain bread. No, I'll make jokes about everybody. Just hopefully won't take them too far. But I don't care. I would do it with my group of friends because I know they could handle it. But you guys are the internet, so we'll build up the audience there and figure out what's appropriate for you and what's not. Anyway, again, not a big thing. I'm not gonna be super focused on that. Just as it happens. So, anyways, the important part there was they were talking about it as an individual being, like a singular entity. That's not how most of us think. I think about lots and lots of entities where you can become one and stuff like that. And they went, both of their opinions were no. Both of them were saying that it is a singular creature, and that the people wind up going through its ritual of how it became that way, and they basically get possessed by it. They become a single shard, like a single brain cell of this creature they're replaced and taken over, and now it runs them. And that's why these things are so alien and stuff, and behavior and mentality and whatnot. I mean, to become one, you have to do this horrible thing anyway, and it's like way worse than what white people think. Like, it was like literally everyone in your family or everyone who's ever loved you to get replaced by that creature. Like, wow, why would anyone do that? It's dumb. But yeah, that's exactly their point. And they're talking about that and having discussions. Their discussions weren't about that as the opinion. They had different opinions about that specific viewpoint on it, which again, no normal discussion that you hear from people who aren't part of those cultures would ever have. They wouldn't even think of that. So I've been involved in lots of conversations like that with different things, and I had people tell me stories and whatnot. Sometimes it's about like creatures they've encountered, like actual encounters with things that they were supernatural and stuff like that, and others are stories about those, or ones that are tangentially related to that, or mythological ones even, or even just ones like, hey, this is camp scary stories that we tell and stuff, like this huge variety of stuff, and it really helped shape me in a lot of ways, and I intend to tell those stories. Like, I don't remember them all exactly, but I've written down many of them, like as many as I can remember. I started separating them out by creature, if and where I could. Sometimes it's just such a weird, unique thing. I can't, I'm just like, okay, this particular story is its particular story. But for a lot of them, like, this one's tangentially related to, like, this type of thing, or this one is all about this type of creature, like, whatever. So I did my best on that, tried to get the names of what I knew. If I didn't, the most quick descriptive name, stuff like that. So, bada bing, bada boom, I'll be talking about those stories, and some of them, they come from mythology, but then it's like the personal encounters of these things, all this other stuff. So I'll be talking about those. Believe them or don't, doesn't matter to me. I'm not there to tell you one way or another. The people who said them either believe there's a thing that happened, or they, are fucking with me, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm there to do. What I'm there for with those is to tell you those stories, so you can see the stories that I grew up with, and you can, learn from that and see maybe, hey, this is how my perspective got all funky, fresh, and weird. There's these funky, fresh, and weird things, and I'm going to tell you about them, so boom. Maybe it'll allow you some creative juices and fun stuff for doing things, like telling your own spooky stories, or, understanding someone's encounters with some things. I don't know. I mean, heck, you could even use it in your, like, D&D games and stuff, all that stuff. It's easy, fun, go for it. I've used them in those, and it's a great effect, so go for it. Do whatever. So that's one kind of video that we're talking about here, and we'll have on the channel. I don't know when they'll start. I don't know anything about that. I just know I'm going to do those, and that's that. The next one is we have another kind of story that we're going to do, and that is motorcycles. Okay, there lots of different groups go by here. I'm between towns, like in every direction. It's town. So, boom. Anyway, I am the crossroads. Anyways, what do you call? Anyway, there's other kind of stories. I will be hosting a D&D style D&D campaign using 5e and stuff there, but it'll have a lot of the style of that, like charisma will determine how many friends you can have as a character, you know, like lifelong friends. And lifelong friends are other characters you get, and it's another world experience as opposed to a story. So instead of being like, yeah, we're all just gonna go fight the Lich and kill him, and that's the story, it's like, hey, your characters are released on the world, build your stories, develop the world as you go. You know, you just want to make your character into Super Farmer Man McGee. Okay, be Super Farmer Man McGee. It's good. We're all for it, you know. And when you're done with that character, you can retire him. You know, you always have one character available to go. And, you know, they can make at least one lifelong friend, and then their charisma determines how many more extra on top of that. Boom, you know, make best friends with a goblin and want to have him in your group. That takes one of your slots. But now you can play as that goblin, too. Make best friends with a dragon. Yeah, you can play as that dragon. Go for it. I don't care. Now you have a high-level character for high-level play. You want to deal with inter-dragon wars and stuff like that? Go for it. You know, unlock it. Easy. Earn it. So it'll be that kind of game, and you know, people have stables of characters and everything like that, and they'll be like, instead of like, oh, I take a long rest and I get my health back, it's like, okay, I'm gonna spend a day in town to get 1 HP back. Like that. So we have things like that, but still 5e rules with, you know, some more modifications like that. Why am I telling you about this? So I'll be taking those and have the session, you know, and then I'll tell you the story about what went down. I'll be like, this is what happened. These are what the characters did, and this is what they're doing, and how other characters reacted, and you know, even some background stuff my players don't know is going on. I'll be like, yeah, da da da. And if we miss a week or something like that, I'll just tell you more about the world. You know, that one's going to be a regularly occurring thing. Like, until it starts, I'll have episodes where I'm talking about, hey, here's the world we're playing in, I built it, different aspects, blah blah blah, and you know that the whole setting. And I'm building here, because that's what old D&D was you built a world, and that was the campaign, was the world. Like, yeah, I'm doing that. So, I'll be making it, and be like, hey, this is what the world is like at the time my player started. And, you know, and that includes other continents that I'm not even on, like, this is what they're at there. And it's released, it's on the Dungeon Masters Guild, the DM's Guild, you know. It'll be there. I won't be there right away, but it will be there, and I'll let you know. I'll have a video about it when it's there. Probably do it in bits, like, hey, here's the continent my players are playing on, here's the northern continent, here's, you know, all that stuff. It'll be fun. So, that'll be another kind of story I'm doing. And then I have a really interesting story planned out. So, the big story I want to do is, how do I tell it? So, I built a connected set of settings, where it's like they're different worlds. I built a multiverse, basically. Said, here's how they're connected. And not like this dimension and its planet and its rules and its version of the spirit realms and all this other stuff connect to this other one via these ways, etc. And we'll follow characters in those different worlds, and we'll do it with time locks. And I'll be like 1978 in this Earth-like world that has like superheroes and stuff, you know. In that world, 1978, this character is right here doing this thing. So if I want to go back later and say, hey, there's a giant T-Rex in that spot, and I'll be like, hey, no, something else is happening. Can't really do that, but maybe I can have a character experience an illusion where they see this event like that instead, but I can't get rid of what actually happened. So there'll be no retconning. I won't be able to say, ooh, time travel, we went back in time and killed the villain of the whole arc and everything's fine and happy and dandy. It'll be like, no, the time travels that have occurred, if time travel has occurred, will have led to this timeline we're already in. That's it, done. We're following this one timeline. And, you know, we'll follow in different worlds and stuff, and I'll do that, like, one of the worlds is basically called Spider's Nest, and another one's called, World Heart or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is. I have it all written down because I have ADHD and I get confused. So, I have that stuff down. And I'll write it down, I'll do big things, I'll have dates and stuff like that. And I'll read those here, and they'll be really cool, fun stories that develop as we go, And I'll be like, hey, going back at character's memory 20 years previously, this is what they're doing, what they're remembering, all that cool stuff. So, those ones are going to be a fun format, and they'll be separated by the worlds and then what character focus we're on. So, one of them's going to be more of like a sword and sorcery style world that's really dark and whatnot, like literally without a sun. Instead, there's a little bit of light out there sometimes, and sometimes there's pale days and other things. It's a really interesting concept. But we'll have that. And we'll also have a world that's basically like a more fantastical Earth. Like, oh no, half of Wisconsin has been replaced with these huge big trees and everything like that. Like, okay, well, whatever, And what's going on in Alaska? Well, there's more towns there and stuff, Like, this way is like that, and there's more things going on in, the industry side of things over there. And, some other places it'll be like, well, what happened to Morocco? And I'll be like, well, I don't know, man. What did happen to Morocco? Something did. And you'll be able to find out. So, really cool. But, yeah, that's this whole setting thing, and I'll have stuff. There's other settings there and whatnot as well, but I'll mainly be focused on those two. And I'll pop out and talk about other ones, but they're mainly for how they affected that one. And those two. A lot of story bits going on. If you don't know me, you're probably just thinking, that's story bits. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's going to have some his friends going to be stupid. But if you know me, you know that it's actually like in-depth thought that went into this stuff. It's just, you're talking the thing or whatever. So, that's basically the format structures we're going to have. There might be, actually there is one other kind of video we'll be doing. So, on the reg, I intend to have people on here to, hello Copperstone, I love you, to, talk with me and whatnot, and I don't know if I'll be able to do videos for those. My internet is cheese, so, but if I think I can, if my internet's going to work that day, maybe it's really nice and sunny and everything's clear and everything's been working for a day or two in a row, then I might have a video of me there. But I'll stream with this other person, and I'll probably record it and then share it afterwards. Stuff there, maybe they want things edited. I don't know. Maybe they have an editor who they're like, hey, I make videos, so I have to be edited to like this or not. Anytime I curse, I lose $500. Whatever. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I have a thing, we'll just chat for like an hour, maybe 3 hours. I don't know. Don't really care too much about that. I'll do like a mini formatting thing. We'll be like, hey, here's sort of what I want to touch on and reach and stuff, Your time limit is what? Okay, my time limit is this, and we'll figure out together, and we'll meet up and we'll talk. It could be about TTRPGs. It could be about politics even. I don't know. I don't care. But whatever it is we're talking about, we'll each have at least one story related to the subject. And, we'll talk about it, and you'll get to see that and listen in, and hopefully that'll be fun. I like talking with people, having real conversations. I don't like fake conversations like, oh, how's the weather? The weather's great. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I can see how the weather is. I'd rather know, what was the most scarring experience you had in your life and whatnot. I'll tell you about one of mine. Cool, let's go. Let's discuss this stuff, and let's get into like, hey, why is cheese the colors that it is? Whatever, let's talk about our first characters in role-playing games. What's the first time you ever invented, all sorts of weird things. We'll have these conversations. They'll be sort of targeted towards whatever we're discussing at the time and all that. Now, why am I making this video? Why am I making this thing? Why am I doing this? Well, I think I assume that my experiences are, to me, they're normal. But for a lot of people, they're not. And so the things I've done and come up with and built and stuff aren't normal. Like people say, build a D&D trap. And I'm like, okay, well, I want the ceiling to be full of crawling hands that will fall down onto the players if they're not, paying attention or anything like that, or if they trigger something. So, whatever. The hands will fall down, and the hands will try to steal their gear. And as they do, some of them will try to do so. Some normal hands will fall down with them, and they'll crawl off into the dungeon with whatever they've managed to steal, into little holes and stuff. And they'll put all the gear in a different room. And when the players get there later, they'll find their stuff, assuming they continue to actually go there and do that. I'm like, there you go. There's a trap. Easy peasy done, and everyone gets some fun out of it. Maybe you can get rid of that paladin's +8 sword or whatever the hell that you gave them at level 1 because, reasons. They found it. Like, oh well, it's theirs now. And you get rid of it for a little bit and force them to, strategize and stuff so they actually get the idea of how they should be playing this character, whatever, But that kind of thing. For me, that's normal. That's the easy, simple idea. And other people just go, spike pit. And I'm like, that's not normal. Like, why would you put a spike pit? Like, it makes way more sense to do the hands, Like, that's sort of where I'm coming from. So, I know it's actually different, but I think of it as normal. And I've had all these weird experiences and stuff, and my family and friends, think these experiences are interesting. And, my family has even more interesting, crazy ones that they've done through and stuff and perspectives that are cool. And, my friends are also interesting, but, they still, the stuff just is a little different. So I'm like, yeah, I should make videos. I should, and I will. So I'm going to. But there's one other thing that really inspired me to get out there and actually do it, as opposed to just talking about it. And so why I went out to do this, so just probably throw some people out the gate where they go, I don't care about it anymore. Opinions. Whatever. I don't care. Eric D. July. That's right, Eric D. July. Known as, Rippa. A young Rippa, specifically. He decided to create a comic books. He did. He made his own company. He got everything in order. And I followed this guy for a while. Like, I followed him for, I think, like a year, maybe 2. Something like that. Maybe a little less. Maybe, like, 9 months, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't care. But I followed him for a good while. And, he was doing reviews about comics and stuff. He was doing all this other stuff and talking. And, just, it was a fun personality to listen to, And then, he got sick and tired of what's happening to his favorite medium. And, his favorite media, like a true American medium of, like, the comic book. So he got sick of it, and he decided to make his own. And he decided that he was going to do it, and that if he was going to do it, he's going to compete on the same level as Marvel and DC. He's actually doing better in sales than Marvel and DC. People believe in him. He built up a whole thing that says, yeah, you can do this, and he was like, yeah, I can, and he went and he did it. Sure, he had the money and funding and stuff ahead of him, but he built that up. It's not just magicked out his wazoo. He, actually built this up over time, put it together, and put it towards this progress, and created progress. Like, the American comic can survive now. There's other people who've working hard on that, like Gamergate people have the Comic Gate people, and there's people who are literally don't care about any of that stuff, who just went to go do their own thing anyway, and there's people who are anti-Comicsgate, who are still making their own unique stuff, and I like all of them. They're all really interesting. The Comicsgate people made some really cool stuff, like Jawbreakers is a fun comic thing. And then opposite that, there's, I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's this really intense comic that was made by a major detractor of Comicsgate that had, like, only black people gain superpowers. Because their whole thing was like, I'm doing super woke, the wokest of woke. And it was actually really good. I just need a little bit more time in the oven, and it would have been one of those ones where I'm like, hey, this is a comic you have to read. Like, I throw ElfQuest at people. Like, you want to read comics? Read ElfQuest. Boom. Done. Like, there you go. Straight up. Like, I have opinions of, like, the Phantom and all these other things I really love, but if you only read one, ElfQuest. Just like if you only read one book that's non-religious, Oh boy, I'm gonna tell you Clan of the Cave Bear, because it's really good. It's got all the things of good writing in it and good storytelling. It's all there. So yeah, there's that. I'm starting to ramble a bit, but whatever. The point is, Eric T. July went out there and he made this stuff and has proven it with $3.5 million of support. Yeah, some of that money came from me, nowhere near $1 million, but I bought the book. I got a signed copy coming in and whatnot because I wanted it. He pitched it to me and I wanted it, so I'm getting it. That simple. I'm not gonna go broke because I bought a book. I this is a house. Like, sure, I can't go out and buy 16 cars or something, but I was never going to do that. I was going to get a house. So, yeah, done. Simple. Book is on its way. I can't wait to read Isom. I'm going to do a review on it. So maybe that'll be another type of video. Maybe I'll do reviews. Or maybe reviews will be part of one of those other little videos, And I'll have like a section where it's like, okay, I'm doing a review of this thing. And that'll be like 15-minute review. Maybe I'll do a whole video on it and be like, it's a special. Maybe that'll be a thing, specials. Who knows? I don't yet. We're just starting this up and we're rolling. Yeah. But I will review it. One of the big things I want to talk about when it does come out is the main character's named Isom. ISOM. And I want to ask, like, boom, does the name fit the character? Does their outfit match the character? Does it matter? Does it fit? Does it work? Does it not? Like, that's a big thing. Like, these big points of the character that come out and are shown to us, do they fit? And if so, to what degrees do they fit? Because, like, you look at Batman, and you'd be like, yeah, the name and outfit match and whatnot, but what he does, not so much, but, yeah, it's very interesting. And you can say, yeah, there's parts of that do match up, and what are they? And I love doing things like that with characters and time out, so that's what I'll do with that. I'll do a whole big thing, I'll review the story and all this stuff, I'll do like, maybe I'll do a point of like, hey, no spoilers, and then spoilers. Or I'll just do spoilers from the start. I don't know. I have a hard time keeping spoilers separate. But yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Because he went and did that. I've done a lot of things, and I don't have credit for it. I don't. Like, there's very little that I've got credit for. Very little out there. And yeah, I've done stuff like, in books. Like, that right there is framed on the wall is in a book. And it's a monster that I designed. It is in a book you can buy that's ran by a big company and whatnot. Scarred Lands. That's in their monster manual. For 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And that's a monster I made. It's right near the beginning of the book. I think just the A's themselves are worth that book. It's price. Like, honestly. It's that good. But, my creature, I've had it in my D&D campaign since I was like, 15, something like that. It's been a creature I've used, and it's had its purpose and stuff, and it's just, we reworked it to 5th edition, modified some of the lore a little bit, and did a few other little tweaks like that, and that's it. It's now available. Anyone can use it. It's called an Aetherai. Aetherai. Done. Look it up, use it, grab that book, put it in your games. It even tells you how to use it right there in the creature description thing because I cared. So did they. And I made it for a reason, so it's there. Wow. But yeah, I've done a bunch of stuff like that. Like, there's a bunch of things that are around, and my dad has done even more. Like, my dad spent like 15 minutes. He went to the Wizards of the Coast website, saw they had a contest thing going on, whatever, and he was like, all right, he wasn't even there 10 minutes. Like, this was just before making dinner for him. Like, just taking a little break before starting the next thing of dinner. And boom. And entered in, called it done, went back and made dinner. And, about a week later, they announced him the winner. Sent him, like, all the 5th edition books and whatnot that come out at time and stuff, and the money or whatever, all that other stuff. He didn't even spend an hour on that. Like, I've seen his stuff. I keep telling him he needs to put things into the DM's Guild. The OSR is a big movement. And hopefully he will. I'm planning on making my own stuff and releasing it out there too. But this channel isn't wholly about that. You know, maybe I'll talk about some of that stuff on here as parts of segments of other things, but this channel is for stories, and I want to facilitate stories. Like, role-playing games have the opportunity for some of the greatest stories for you to experience. You know, yeah, there's a whole lot more going on, and it's really great. But let's do the next part of it, because I actually had a teeny tiny bit of note. So, why is it called Shadowlight Stories? Well, I had a character who was, her name was Elizabeth Black. She was named after, you know, a historical figure. Go look her up. You know, and she was a character who would track monsters. That was what she was designed to do. She'd be a monster tracker and whatnot and stuff, and she would solve mysteries around them and stuff. That was the whole concept for the character. She was pretty cool. You know, I made her to sort of represent some of the people I knew in Alaska who were way cooler than me, you know, but who had way darker life than I did. Like, some of the experience and stuff I know about, like, really horrible ones and stuff, come from people like that character's based off of. And yeah, so that was the plan for her, and then I amped up the setting, worked on it over time, became a superhero setting. So what's her superhero name? It became Shadowlight. And so she inspired that whole thing. And I was like, what can I use that name for that? Because I was thinking of the names. I was like, she has this cool name. She's a character that inspired this to become a setting instead of just a story thing that I had for myself and, you know, maybe some friends and whatnot. Like, something I wanted to share with the world. Because the character for just this, the fun that, you know, built into this setting that I had well before Elizabeth Black. Her name was Katrissa Dangsel, and she was a very specific character, you know, who was basically like, hey, all the badassery of my mom, but like hyped up, you know. Yeah, her life story, crazy. Anyway, so that stuff. But I was like, what defines the stories I want to tell here, and the characters and all that stuff, and shadow, light, because there's some dark stuff here. Like, some of the characters I want to talk about are ones who like took part in human skin trade and whatnot, but then like became heroes. You know, now those are characters who are dark and whatnot, but they're also ones who became hero, found the light, and did better. You know, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about good characters and whatnot too. Like, you know, characters are just genuinely good, and characters are just genuinely bad. Like, I've met people who fit those descriptions. People like to say, there's no evil in the world, blah, 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 blah. Evil doesn't exist, blah, 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 blah. They're stupid. I've met evil. And there's approachable evil that you can interact with. And then there's evil you can't. And I've met both. And you don't want to meet them. You don't want to interact with them. But they're there. And so it's good. I've met genuinely good people. People who are just good. You know, who can't fathom, like, kicking a puppy. Like, why would they do that? Instead, they have all these weird ways of handling things that just whoosh, you know? Like, sure, there's a rabid dog attacking me. I'm not going to just be an asshole. You know, I have a way of handling it already because I went through similar experiences. I worked it up. Like, there's people like that. And it's really weird. And yeah, rabid dog, well, it's going to die and stuff there, but how do you make that a peaceful, merciful thing? There's people who know and behave that way, so they're strange. I met more of the worst ones, but those guys are out there too. And I think assuming that alignment and stuff doesn't matter is silly and, you know, is counterproductive. You're not thinking about reality. Like, if you look at reality, there's a lot of evil in the world. Always has been. Just because we're at a time where it's, you know, safer, it's the safest time to be a human being ever. Like, doesn't mean that's gone. There's still the evil dragons to go slay. It's just no one wants to go slay them. You know, everyone's just so satisfied that they're not going to go out there and do that, even though the world would be way better if you did. Yeah, we don't talk about those on some things. We talk about, like, events and things, like, you know, the whole UNICEF thing. Oh my God, that's a big part of what I was just talking about there. Like, the Deuceman case, all this other stuff. Like, they're so bad. But that'll be another video. That'll be its own little segment of another video. And, you know, there's just so many things that I want to talk about. And, you know, hopefully it'll be cool and fun for you. Talk about world building stuff too. You know, and I'll try to get some more people on your world build because I don't know if world building's gonna be its own section or if it'll just be part of my D&D thing. Don't know. It'll be fun though. We'll get there. And maybe I'll even do some game stuff later, but I know there's one game franchise I want to do on the channel because it's about stories. And that game is, because me and my buddies, we have a channel we run together called Damage Received, which we kind of neglect a lot, but then we sort of use them like earnest, like, and then go back and neglecting it. We gotta get better at that, more consistent. But anyway, if I do record the D&D things and just put them up, that'll be on that channel. Whereas talking about what happened in those sessions, that would be here. Anyway, what I want to do is the game Dwarf Fortress. It's going to have a Steam release soon, and I want to play the game, and I want to do it in ways that I would do it, because I've done weird stuff in Dwarf Fortress, but I want to do it in a way where I can see it, I can easily interact with it, and people can tell what's going on, and I can show the video, and we can build a story together. And then, maybe we'll play it, and playing will be on either Damage Received or here. And then the stories about that play will be here. And that'll be cool. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm happy and enjoying that idea. But yeah, I do intend to talk about comics. I might even just bring out like an issue and be like, alright, we're talking about Youngblood. About Youngblood. Alright, we're going to just figure out which issue this is. I think this is the August 3rd issue. But old comic, I don't care about that. I could pull out an original Conan on you one of these times and whatnot. Intend to. Specifically, Conan 193, that was one I was like, man, I should talk about that one. I should talk about a lot of them. I want to talk about a whole bunch of things. But yeah, I'll just pull those out and talk to you about them. Talk about D&D stuff, all these other things. Just random things. Talk about cat biology or whatever. Who knows? I don't know even. But I'll tell you about things. I'll tell you stories. And it'll be good. I'm leaving out a lot of things because I want this to be the intro video. And it's sort of all over the place. I don't care. That shows you how annoying my format can get. I'll try to have notes and have things set up better for when we get to the major videos, but any video forward. But this one is just like, hey, this is what it's like when things aren't working out well or everything's going funky fresh. Bloop. So now you know how bad it can get. And I hope to stick around to see how good it can get. Again, I got no editing right now, but I think this is where I'm going to end the video. I'll see you all on our first actual episode, because it is the intro episode. See you on our first actual episode. I don't know what we'll talk about yet, but that's part of the fun of coming in. You'll see the little name, it'll be episode 1, whatever it is, and then a little title, and you only get one little piece of what that whole thing is. You come in, and you'll have some interesting times. Yeah, I'll see you around in the next episode, and we'll talk about whatever. Okay, I'll see you then. Gonna zoom in. Boop.